Hi, my name is Nicole, and thanks so much for joining me today for another video. Today we're going to hop right into a continuation of my Sync Your Cycle series, which if you missed part 1, when you are ready for part 1, it is on the menstruation cycle. So yoga that is perfect for the menstruation cycle while you're on your period. This flow today is going to be focusing on the follicular phase of our cycle, which comes directly after our period. So it's the second phase of our cycle. During our periods, due to some hormones calming down a little bit. We'll keep it simple today. We're a little slower naturally. Our uterine wall is doing its shred, kind of coming down from preparing for a potential pregnancy, as our period is. The follicular phase, we start to get our energy back. We start to build momentum a little bit. And I thought this was so perfect timing because naturally my cycle is here already on the first day of spring. Hello? It's beautiful. It's poetry. It's amazing. I am synced with nature. So today we're going to be doing some movements that are going to be starting slower, very similar to my spring flow, but we're really going to build up some energy. If you want to have props at the ready, we are going to be doing some leg balances today. So if balance is something that you're working on, definitely recommend having one of these or adjacent. And without further ado, we're going to get started in our tabletop posture. So on hands and knees. If you find that you use blocks for this posture, you can go ahead and utilize them as you do. Shoulders over elbows, hips over knees, pressing hands away from the mat, making a nice straight back, spine, and we'll just start cat-cow, dropping the belly, lifting the gaze, big breath in. Exhale, round, and contract. Now, we really want to, you can continue flowing in and out of this, by the way. Another 4 cycles. We really want to send some blood to the uterine area. So we're going to get some blood rushing by doing some leg balances later on in the flow, but we also really want to stretch through that hip area, the low back, everything that was just used in our menstruation phase. So if you would like to, in this cat-cow, you can kind of make some circles, sending the hips back, counterclockwise or clockwise as you take your cat and cow. Any little cracks and pops, totally fine. And then last 2, you can just take it the opposite direction. And again, any little organic movement is totally welcome here. And then once finished, coming back to a neutral tabletop position, we're going to get right into it. We're going to step left foot out to the width of the mat, right foot to the width of the mat, walk the hands in a little bit. Let's kind of stretch in the hips here in our yogi squat, our garland pose, reaching the hands and the fingertips directly in front of where the toes lay. So the toes are kind of pointed in either direction towards the center or the sides of the mat. We're going to come up onto our fingertips if able, using the elbows to press into the legs, lifting the spine up a little bit higher, crown over spine. Breathing here. I find that this helps give you a little bit of balance. You like it, makes the pose a little bit more stable. You can also, of course, bring hands to heart center and just really get in there. Whatever feels good to you. Just a couple more breaths. Very good. Let's bring the hands directly in front. Bring the toes to guide and then lift up and coming into a forward fold here. Now once you're here, this is going to be a very generous flow. You can see the dog hair all over me. I own a dog. This is going to be very generous in the upper back and in the spine, so feel free to round here through the back. Feel free to have a micro bend in the knees. You can even come into a ragdoll fold, holding one elbow in each opposite hand and just kind of sway back and forth a little bit here. All of these poses are designed and sequenced together to get us ready for what's coming next later on in our flow. Building up to that peak pose, the standing splits today, which sound a lot more intimidating than they are, I will say. Nice big inhale, release the hands, walk them forward, then let's come back into a downward facing dog, by stepping the feet back, I mean. So first downward dog of the day, hands are nice and shoulder width apart, feet are hip width distance apart, and we're just going to imagine someone's pulling the hips up by an invisible string up towards the ceiling or the sky. Chest is pulled down towards the earth and we are glancing down at the toes. If the heels don't touch the mat, that's totally fine. Let's stretch out the legs by bending into the right leg. Keep the left leg straight. Maybe that gives you a little bit more momentum to bring the chest forward. Hold 2 breaths. Good. Inhale, switch. 2 more breaths on the other side. Good. Come back to your neutral stance. Let's take this right leg, take a nice deep inhale, bring it all the way up and take a bend in that knee, really opening up the hip. Trying to bring that heel almost so it can touch your sit bone, touch your booty. Holding here, trying to stack one hip joint on top of the other as best you can. Good. Inhale, guide it forward and step that foot in between the hands, adjust the back foot as necessary, coming into our runner's lunge. So to start, let's lower the back heel or back knee down. You can keep the back toes tucked or untucked, whatever works better for your stability. Keep the hands where they are, come up onto the fingertips or grab your blocks as you send the hips back, trying to keep the hips over that left knee, coming into a little half split here. You can be generous in the round in the upper back, trying to bring the chest as close to the leg as possible. That's really going to give you this beautiful stretch in the back body. And breathe here. 2 more deep breaths. Good. Inhale. Come forward. Hands frame the right foot. Left knee comes up off the mat. And this is the part where we grab those blocks and maybe have those at the ready on any level that you feel is going to serve you, framing the foot as well. From here, we're going to turn the back foot so it's about parallel to the bottom of the mat, and the right heel is in between about, so they're kind of in line with each other. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale, straighten that leg, bringing the body and the chest as close to that front leg as possible. Good. Inhale to bend, turn the back legs forward, bring the blocks slightly in front, about where your toes are. And again, make space as you need because we're getting ready to fly. So nice ground in the front foot through all 4 corners, both top and bottom of the foot. Take a nice deep inhale as you get ready to lift that back leg up. Now play with this here. Balance comes from the core. So keep lifting. Find a point that is unmoving as you bring your leg higher and higher. That'll start to bring your foot or your head closer to your foot. Hold here. You got this. Breathe. One more breath here. Good. And as you inhale, just lower, nice and slow, that right foot back down to the earth. Coming back into that runner's lunge. You can keep the blocks or discard them. Hands frame the foot. Step it back. Let's come to our plank. Holding here just a moment. Building the heat. Lower down halfway on the exhale. Hold. 3, 2, and 1. Press up. Come to our downward facing dog. Take a breath here. Now you have a couple options. You can choose to take a flow, or you can go straight to child's pose, or you can hang out in down dog. If you're taking a flow, you're with me. We're going to inhale, roll through the spine. That crack was fine, I'm okay. You're going to take it on the exhale, lower all the way back down to the mat, nice and slow with control. Keep those elbows in, untuck the feet, lift up, cobra. Exhale, lower back down, tuck the toes, lift on up to downward facing dog. And when you're ready, exhale, knees down to the width of the mat, big toes touch. If you'd like, you can slide a block under the pelvis to give a bit more support. Otherwise, walk your hands towards the top of the mat, and rest here. Really starting to feel that warmth throughout the body, starting to get our heart rates up a bit. Acknowledging ourselves and our bodies for trying, for putting this effort into these movements today that are for us and us only. And utilizing everything that our body is currently creating for us. Especially in this phase as our body again really starts to ramp up production of those hormones that give us that beautiful energy. A couple more breaths here before we come to the second side. Very good. Lift up through the fingertips. Inhale up. We're going to meet back in our downward facing dog to do the left side. So once we're in, move that, our downward facing dog, and we're all nice and situated. Nice deep inhale as we inhale again, bringing the left leg up this time, and then opening up at the hip, trying to bring our heel as close to the sit bone as possible. Trying to stack one hip on top of the other. Breathe. Good. As you exhale, guide that knee forward and step, coming into that runner's lunge. Exhale, lower that back knee down to the earth. Keep the toes tucked or untucked, up to you. Send the hips back on your next exhale. Walk your hands in as you need. Flex through the left foot and bring the chest as close to that leg as possible. Breathe here. Good. Inhale, walk it back in. Lift that back leg on your next inhale. Bring the blocks back into play if you should so choose. Turn the back foot, spin it so it's parallel to the top of the mat. Inhale to straighten, or exhale to straighten, I apologize. And then lower down, coming into our triangle. This is pyramid. Coming into pyramid. Very good. We're getting ready to come into those standing splits. Turn the back toe forward once more, coming back into that, at this point, elevated runner's lunge. So it's a little bit higher up. Give yourself your space as you need. Blocks, if you're using them, or shoulder width distance. When you're ready, big inhale, lift up. That back leg, take it slow. Create the balance from the core. Engage it. Find that point that's unmoving as you settle into the pose for 3 deep breaths. Good. On your next exhale, slowly lowering that back leg right back to that higher up runner's lunge. You can at this point discard the blocks. Take a nice deep inhale. Exhale, step it back, come to plank. Hold here. Exhale, hold halfway. Good. Inhale, push up and downward facing dog. Last chance to take a vinyasa, take a flow. Sorry, a chaturanga with me. If you're with me, let's go. Inhale, flow to plank. Exhale all the way down to the mat. Untuck the toes and lift. Exhale back down to the earth. Tuck the toes and lift back up. Downward facing dog. Exhaling to bring the knees to earth. Nice and wide. Big toes touch. Child's pose. Let's take a nice deep round, couple rounds of breath here. So inhaling through the nose. Take a nice big sigh through the mouth. Using your full exhale, 2 more. Good, last one. Inhale through the nose. And exhale. Very good. You have done the flow to peak. Thus being said, we can take our little hands that are on our mat, give a nice round of applause. Pat the hands on the mat. You did it. We did it. We're heading to a cool down. Well done. Very good use of energy, friends. Very beautiful movement. Take a couple normal breaths here. Very good. Let's inhale. Walk the hands in. Just a little bit here. I'm going to move a little bit so I'm more centered into my mat. You can flip, coming onto our sit bones. Let's give the hips another bit of a stretch here in a opposite way. So bringing feet, soles to touch. Hands are going to wrap under the toes, interlace the thumbs, lift up nice and tall, and exhale to fold. If you'd like, you can use the elbows to press into the legs here as well to deepen that stretch. We're not going to take too long in our cool down because we've just created this beautiful warming energy for ourselves. We definitely want to keep this up, keep this going with us for the rest of the day. Good, just 2 more breaths here. Good, inhale up. We're going to end with a spinal twist. So bringing the hands up all the way up. Keep the legs as they are. Left hand comes down to the right knee. Right hand comes behind. Looking over the right shoulder. 4 deep breaths here. Very good. Inhaling back to center. Maybe bringing the hands together, taking a quick counter stretch, bringing the chest forward just for a second. Exhale. Right hand to left knee, left hand comes behind. Lifting up, lengthening through the spine, looking over the left shoulder. 4 breaths in total. Very good. Last pose. Coming back to center, we're just going to close the legs, bring them to the width of the mat, and we'll take a couple windshield wipers. So flexing through the toes, exhale or inhale to drop, exhale to back to center, and exhale to the other side. 3 more in total. For today's class, we are going to skip Shavasana. If you'd like to take a Shavasana, please do so. Listen to your body. You can pause this video at this time as we are about to get into wrapping up the class. So once we're done with our windshield wipers, come to any seated position that is comfortable for you. And I will ask that you get interested and excited about living with your cycle. Living in cycles is what we do as humans, right? I mean, if you are somewhere in the United States, not like me, that lives in a place with seasons, you are living in nature cycles. We as women get to do the same thing. So look into it. What's your follicular phase all about? What does it mean to you? What could you do to harness that energy in that phase? Maybe start a new project, explore creative outlets, things like that. But I'll leave you to contemplate that as we inhale. Bring the hands up overhead, holding all that beautiful energy we created for ourselves today. Palms come to touch as we exhale all that down to our heart center where it never leaves, bowing forward. Namaste. Thank you so much for flowing with me. It's been a pleasure to guide you today, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye. I need some water.